It's the review you guys have all been waiting for. The much anticipated 3D Fused Kreatos review. My name is Alex, this is Modified 3D. Let's get into it. So I want to start this out by saying the 3D Fused Kreatos has been one of the more interesting experiences that I've had with a 3D printer. This is one of the more high-end 3D printers that you can get. Now, unfortunately, I do not believe 3D Fused is currently selling these anymore. I know that this was the last model that they had available. I had waited some time to get it, and I kind of knew that going into this, that these are limited run models. They're basically like handcrafted, very high-end 3D printer. 3D Fused is working on a brand new platform. It's based on a Core XY printer, and it's called the DIY Core. So I'm sure that once they get that finished and rolled out, we might see the Kreatos come back. But for right now, I figured I'd do a review anyways on it, just because I wanted to talk about how great of a company 3D Fused is. Now, when I ordered this printer, I ordered it fully assembled. I paid a little bit extra for it to be completely all set up for me because I didn't want to have the headache of any issues out of the box. Something that I've had with the Creality printers is you get what you pay for. So I wanted to get one of the nicest printers available, something that was never going to let me down, and something that I could just plug in, play, and not have to worry about. The Kreatos pretty much fit that mark. Going over everything, we'll go over the specs real quick, and then we'll go into some of the issues that I had, and then the amazing customer service that Cody, the owner of 3D Fused, offered. Going over the printer real quick, I had mine spec'd out with a Slice Engineering Mosquito Hotend, and this is a direct drive printer with a Bondtech BMG. It does have 0.9 degree stepper motors on it, so it does have the nicer stepper motors, and every single axis is linear rails. These are some pretty high quality linear rails. There are no play in it whatsoever. Each belt has a tensioner on it so that you have the tunability. Other than that, it's just a very simple design, very rugged. You can see these very thick steel cut plates that hold everything together. This thing's incredibly sturdy. It is not going anywhere. We've got solid aluminum bed spacer mounts and a Keenevo high-powered AC, very quick to heat up bed. The whole unit is powered by a Duet mainboard, so we have the best electronics available in my opinion. But let's bring it on back and talk about some of the issues. Okay, so talking about the issues here, and man, were there a lot of them. And you know, it's hard to say who's at fault here. Cody owned up to all of it, and I want to start this by saying I have never had customer service like I've had from 3D Fused. They went above and beyond anyone could ask for, and definitely don't take any of the problems that I had with this as a fault to the company, because Cody went above and beyond and made it right, and then some. So to start off with, the whole thing was kind of jinxed from the start. The shipping company had a major setback, shipped it like all over the country, and it was delayed almost a month getting to me. So that's kind of how my experience started. Again, that's not 3D Fused's fault. When I got it, we had a lot of issues up front, and after quite a few hours of trying to troubleshoot what was going on with Cody, we realized that the mounting bracket holding the probe was actually cracked, and that was one issue that needed to be fixed. However, that caused another issue when we were working to get the initial level right and to get our first layer to go down. We were having clearance issues with the nozzle hitting, and that was because our spacers were too big. Somehow the wrong spacers got put in here, so the wrong bed height was there, so we weren't getting the right clearance, and that was causing all sorts of issues. We also had a random fault with the hot end. We had a nozzle that was somehow leaking. The PLA was basically just going around and outside the threads and just gooping down and not making it through the center path. So Cody overnighted basically from Amazon a brand new nozzle for me. That was above and beyond right there, you know. Cody didn't have to spend all the time that he did on Facebook Messenger or Facebook video chat with me trying to figure out these issues. He didn't have to overnight me a nozzle, and then when it ultimately came down to it, I basically said, hey man, I'm just at a point where I don't know what to do with this. You know, this is when we had the spacer issue going on, and it was at the point where he just said, hey, you know what, send it to me and I'll fix it for you. So what had ended up happening was I was driving downstate for a vacation, and he personally lives in the same state as me and not too far off the highway that I travel downstate. So I ended up dropping it off at his house, and while I was on vacation, he spent time, completely fixed it, ended up putting brand new linear rails on it because he wasn't happy with how it was working out. And when I got it back up here to my house, plugged it in, and it worked really well. So other than some initial tuning issues, you can see here our start benchy, a lot of stringing. Other than that, not too bad. And then our final benchy after a couple revisions. Man, and this thing prints really nice. This is printing at about 70 millimeters per second with PLA and just a standard Kira profile. I can't say enough good things about this printer though. The direct drive on it allows me to use pretty much any filament that I want, especially with the Mosquito Hotend giving me pretty much any temperature range that I want. The Duet mainboard is the nicest mainboard available. You can't get anything nicer than that, in my opinion. This printer is just spec'd out to be the highest end printer possible, and it really shows in the prints. A little bit of tuning was all that was needed to really get this thing to print really nicely. I don't have any reliability issues now. I don't really worry about it anymore. I mean, the linear rails on there make it so that this thing doesn't really need any tuning anymore. Now that I got the belts figured out, I haven't had to touch any of that. And as you can see, this thing, just by the construction of how sturdy this thing is, dual Z lead screws and motors. It's just a lot of thought was put into this 3D printer on how to make it the most durable and effective 3D printer possible. Personally, this is my fastest 3D printer. Like I said, I'm comfortably able to print around 70 to 75 millimeters per second, and I'm sure you could push that much higher with some more tuning. I just haven't had the time to put into it. I'm still working on tuning it and playing with it. I've had to just take a small step back from 3D printing for a little bit, but we're back at it, and we're going to continue with some more videos here coming up soon. So if you want to see more content on 3D printing, reviews, modifications, tutorials, and how-tos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. In the description, I'll have a link to 3dFused's website. Make sure to check in there from time to time, see if the Kreatos is available, and definitely recommend checking out their new 3D printer that they got coming out any day soon. The DIY Core, which is a Core XY 3D printer, definitely a very interesting platform. That being said, my name's Alex. This is Modified 3D. Have a good one, guys.